Hey guys, sorry, I don't know what's happened here. There's a bit of messing around to get online tonight, and we seem to be vertical as opposed to horizontal. So I'm not sure. Paul didn't make it. Thanks, Paul. Mark Shed Talk, good day. Stuart, hello. Bill, hello. Dan, hello. David, good day. Mark Osborne, hello. Don't know why we're vertical. Don't believe I can change that at this point. So apologies for that. Somewhere between here and there, that's all right. You're allowed to be. Anyway, what a weekend. Got a bit done. A lot done. We made some steps forward and we made some steps back, which is great. What happened? Friday night, I got to Dan's Friday night late, but it was a bit of a hassle getting there because there were some big trucks on the road, like really big trucks. William, g'day. And there was a traffic jam in the Gold Coast, and I left a bit late, so we had trouble getting away before the traffic. Anyway, I got there late. Saturday. Matt, good morning. Saturday was a pretty big roller day, actually. We had other plans as well, but Saturday ended up being a big roller day. Test fit all this up. Dan went crazy and repacked this valve for me, which is awesome. That's all done. This needs a coat of paint on it this weekend, and the valve's finishing. They're there. What else happened? What else did we do? Oh, the test cocks on the back of the boiler backhead. Bit of a mission to get them out if they ever need to come out, because they're brass. They've probably just got thread tape or some goop on them to screw them in tight. And of course, they've got to be vertical, upright, and there's no locker washers on them, so probably they're in pretty tight because you get them the extra little bit so they were upright. And they weren't coming out, so we pulled all the tops out of them because it's a long time since they were really usable, and cleaned them all up and packed them up and put everything back together. So Christian had a bit of a go on that, and William, and we did pretty well there, actually. Got that done. What else we do? We polished deeper brass. I'm sure there are other things we did as well. We ended up pulling the ash pan off and looking at that a bit. I don't know if we did any serious looking, but we pulled the ash pan off. It was a pretty good weekend. Dan pulled the top off the Roby because it needs a new smoke box. And pulled the chimney and the smoke box off the Roby vertical boiler, and that looks like that's something that's going ahead, so that'd be awesome to have that back in steam. What else we do? I don't know. What else we do, Dan? Did a lot of stuff, but anyway, it was a good weekend. Sunday, we put a heap of tin on the doors of the shed, which was great. It was a bit of a success there. We got a fair bit done there. Morning, Russell. So got that done, and we pulled this cover off the roller. Now, this is a bit typical in Queensland road roller scenes, circles at the moment. It's a bit topical. I'll put this away. We'll have a look at this in a minute. Right, it's bench space. we're getting to all this. I've had 5 days off in a row, which is pretty amazing. It doesn't happen very often. I think it was 5, might have been 4, something like that. Anyway, pull this cover off. Now, Mark, is this the same as yours? No idea. What I meant to get was a measuring tape, and I never. No measuring tape. I've got a ruler. That'll do. This way, at that bolt, from that edge there to the centre of that bolt is about 330. This way, from up the worm side, is about the same. So it's about 330 square, and it's about 6.5 inches deep, I think. Don't know if it's the same as yours or not. But anyway, if you have a look at Mark's latest video, he's pulled his off, and his is probably worse than mine, actually. This is also welded around the inside here. And it's got a weld down here. I'm guessing it's probably original. Don't know. I guess that's how they were made. It's not. Anyway, it's not a real clever weld around there. Whether someone's actually put a piece back in it at some point, because it looks like turkey dirt to me. Or whether someone's, I don't know. But if we have a look here, right, this has got a lot cleaner than it was, but there's pinholes all through it. Like, there's a lot of holes through here. Yeah. Smaller in size, there you go. We better get the dimensions for yours as well then, Mark. So, pull that off with a view to tidying it up slightly, because there's some ugly welds in there. There really is. And it's got a dent in it, and it looks like the gear's probably been running on there at some point in the past. Anyway, that's the steering gear cover for the roller. Right, it goes not even close to that way up. It goes no idea which way up it goes. I think it must go sort of something like that way up. There you go. And there's holes in here everywhere. And the steering shaft comes out here, right? And there's a worm wheel in here, and there's a worm. And it's got a cover goes on top, which in all high quality, it's one of them. It goes on here. It looks like it was probably riveted. I don't know. Mine's got a bolt and 2 nuts, which is awful. If yours looks original, Mark, from your video, I guess it had a stud or a rivet in there at some point, and that swings out of the way so you can grease it. Now, I need to make another one of these. If anyone's got any idea how you could make the depression like that nicely, so it looks something like, at least, whether you machine it out of solid and weld it in a piece of plate, I don't know. What part of Tasmania is this? Well, yeah, this is the Queensland part of Tasmania, as Bill says. There's nothing wrong with this one at all, except I'm missing one on the gear case under the wheel, or behind the wheel. There's one missing exactly the same. So I need to make another one, so I've got 2, because one of them's missing. That's the only reason I'm going to make another one. So that's the cover. It goes on there and it has 3 BS 109 nuts on the back of it, one of which is missing and has been missing for many years. So there's a bolt hole here. I don't know what that does. Absolutely no idea. But there's several bolt holes in the back head or in the back plate where everything hangs on with threaded holes in them that I wonder what they're for too. Hydraulic press is probably how it was made, but I don't know about forming them up. Maybe you could form up the slug and then press a dimple in it, make a die. I've got a friend who's got a good press. We'll see how that goes. So that's that. I'm thinking maybe I just machine this out of a bit of solid bar front and back and weld it into a flat plate, grind it all off and file it up and fill it. Don't know. The other one sits on the side of the gear case. So that's something that needs doing. I did get some drawings. There's a mud map on the inside of this Monarch paintbrush instructions. Very, very, very sketchy. To make some parts for Dan's engine. So I've got those parts cast. It's just a matter of sitting down and doing them. So I've got to do that. We'll shift all this stuff. We'll get to this. So this is what I've got. The bin that you've all been waiting for. This is probably, that's a really good question. I don't know. In fact, I don't think it is. I don't know what this is off. Does it look like an Evelyn gear, Mark? Maybe it does. It sort of looks, this part of it all looks sort of fouler. It all looks right on the dimensions, the pin fits, the key fits. That boss on that side is how it should be, all that stuff. And this looks like it's probably cast or whatever into it. However, it's not original. Even a little bit. Because this only has 10 teeth. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 teeth. And it meshes with a big 2-inch pitch worm that looks fairly new and probably not original because it's got thrust ball races and stuff on it and it's been messed with a bit. Now these are either pretty worn or they've been ground down, and I believe that they've been sort of cut in and ground down so that it actually fits. If we make these the right pitch for a 2-inch gear and draw it out, and I've done this, I actually 3D printed a piece too. You can't see really there. If we put this in here like so, maybe, and turn this over like such and skid this around, that's how much short the teeth are to be the right size for a 10-tooth pinion with a 2-inch pitch, circular pitch. The problem with this is if we make this full height, right, making discoveries, that these teeth will touch on the bottom of the gear case. Right, they'll scrape on the way around. So it was never ever this tall, right? This gear was never tall enough to actually mesh with the worm properly. So as it is, it meshes with about this much of the worm, right? About like that, or like that, and it's got that much backlash in it as it goes round. Which translates to a bit more, not quite a turn, a bit more than half a turn, not quite a turn, and that's no good. So if we made this full height to match the existing worm, so that there was no backlash in it, this would touch, and you've still only got a 2 teeth gear. Are we following along? Probably not. The drawing says, and I've got a DNA, like proper for this model, specific 1926 drawing. You can't ask much for more than that. September 26 version of the drawing for the correct piece for this. Shows this boss and this keyway and everything like that. And I wonder whether this has actually just been made, although this looks cast. I don't know. Don't know what this wheel's off. But it shows a Russell says there's nothing that a bit of JB World can't fix. That's very true. It shows a 17-tooth wheel, which is 1.25" circular pitch, which means that the worm has to be 1.25" pitch, which means that not only does it only, like with this one, the worm only meshes on one tooth, right? So there's a fair bit of wear load on this because it's only meshing on the top ½ inch, something like that. So not only if you put a 17-tooth gear on it like it's supposed to have, which looks like this, right, roughly, these are about the right height, and there's a lot more body in the worm, and it'll fit a lot better. Hey chirp. It doesn't touch on the gear case anymore. So I think personally that this needs a new gear made with 17 teeth that matches this and matches the drawing. This is worn in a few places. Like this is worn here, you can see this. There's a pin goes through here with 2 split pins through it, and that's what retains it on the shaft. There's no correlation here with the thin part of the gear, which it probably needs to be, because if you did that you could put a grub screw in here and hold this down tight on the shaft and nothing would rattle. But it's got a pin through there, and because this is worn, what, looking at that, I don't know, 1/8 inch, 3mm in there. There's that much end slap or side shake, or whatever you want to use clockmaking terms, or end thrust in this gear, that by the time this gear takes up the backlash on the gear, on the worm, on the shaft, and then takes this up and then moves this sideways 1/8 of an inch, and catches the key, that you've got 3/4 of a turn on the steering wheel before anything does anything. Does that make any sense? Got onto my old mate today, who's got equipment for doing this, and he says it wouldn't be a problem and it might not cost as much as you think. Bring it round, bring the drawing round. We'll have a look at it on Monday. I'll give you a quote and we'll go from there. So he spoke a lot of sense. He had no problems with it. I didn't think it was going to be an issue. If you've got a drawing, even better. Circular pitch gears are not an issue. We have something done, we have a machine set up to do it. We've just got to make a blank, and there's not a lot of work in it. Dan's right. There's that much backlash in it. It oversteers so easy, especially because it's only a 10-tooth gear. So one turn on the worm moves this 1/10 of a turn. Whereas with this one turn only turns this 1/7 of the turn. Also, this won't wear as much because it's a prime number. And the reason that gears are prime number teeth is so that they don't mesh in the same place all the time. That's the theory with it, but probably not so important with a worm wheel. Could weld it and de-stress it, yes. And I wonder whether that's what someone's done already. I would be surprised. I reckon someone might have made a new gear, but I don't know. Maybe this was a gear or something that they've thought that'll fit and we'll use that. I don't know. Because looking at this, it's definitely got, like, it's got welding spatter in there. But I don't know if that's cast, but it's certainly pretty rough in there. It's been a worm wheel on something. Matt's right, of course. But, yeah. I think it's just industry practice to make them all prime numbers. Having said that, Mark's has got 15 teeth, so I don't know why 17. But I do know that this will be a whole lot better to steer and a whole lot better to point in the right direction and less likely to hit gate posts and things if we fix it. If I go and see him on Monday and get a quote, and if it's not too expensive to make, he'll have to make a new wheel and a new worm. We might just go ahead with it. 624 Dudley, good day. Gearing will be a lot better and a lot easier to steer and just a lot nicer because it's been a problem for a while. And the accumulated backlash in this thing from end float and keyway slap and tooth gap, and the fact that it's only using the end of the tooth, so the tooth in the worm is starting to wear right on the end. So instead of the tooth being in the worm being this shape, it's actually got sharp corners on it too. So instead of being nearly straight, it's got sharp corners. So it's only touching on the, as it wears, it gets worse. Weight of the front rollers and pressure on the smaller teeth be an issue? Not really, because it's chain drive. So it's geared that it's only put on the chain across a worm or across a spiral or Archimedes screw, I guess you'd call it. I don't know what you call it. But basically it's feeding the chain through, which is attached in the middle of the worm in the front, and it pulls, as it turns, it pulls one side round and lets the other side go at the same rate. So the factory drawing says 17, so I think that's the way to go. The drawing's later than the roller, so I'm not sure about that. I think that this is just off something else because they don't mesh together. If you look at the worm, it's really meshing about there, somewhere like that. Like seriously, there's probably that much travel before it does anything. So it's really just touching on the end of the teeth here, and you can see, if you have a look, it's been ground up significantly at some point, and it probably hasn't done a lot of work since then, but it is starting to wear quite considerably around here on this part of the wheel, and there's no wear at all down here, so that's bad gearing. Anyway, so we're looking at that. If cost is prohibitive for right now, which I'm sure it will be, we'll put this back in and we'll do 6 months with it and then we'll buy one. That's how we are with that. It's not hurting anything as it is and it works, but not particularly well. So there you go. Russell, very good question. Hey, Peter. This is the worm gear, or the worm wheel, for the steering, chain steering on the front of the steamroller. I don't think it's an original Fowler part. I think it's been rusty at some point and that's why it looks ugly. Maybe it is a Fowler gear that someone's cut the teeth off and welded it, built up with weld and cut new ones in. Maybe it's not. Don't know. But it's ugly. This is also about a 9-degree angle on this particular tooth. And they've sort of got that right. But on a smaller pitch, I'm guessing with a bigger diameter, it'll be a different angle too. So that'll give us less end. I believe it'll give I'm probably wrong, but a smaller pitch gear, or a smaller pitch worm, will give us less lead angle on the gear and less side thrust and less likelihood to wear out. It's probably the worst roller to steer that I've ever driven. I've driven a lot of rollers. I've probably driven 5 rollers in my life and probably as many, again, traction engines. Not many, right? But this is hands down the worst that there is. It's really a terrible thing. It makes it quite a lot worse, I would say. Bit of propeller shaft. Yeah, I think I probably, if I get one made, I'll just get someone will have off-cut sitting on if they do a lot of those sort of gears. It's not great to steer. You're fighting it all the time, and it's very easy to oversteer is the problem here. Give the wheel a spin 2 turns and you're pointing in the opposite direction. And because of the backlash, when you go over the crest of a road or across the centre of a road so that everything points the opposite direction, it pulls itself around and the wheel doesn't move or adjust. There's nothing stopping it moving. So a turn on the steering wheel, if this moves that far, sort of translates to 1 turn on the chain worm, which is about 8 inches or a foot of chain, something like that. So it's quite a considerable amount on a 12, 1400, 4'6" or 5 foot turning radius on the arms. So it's quite a bit. It's not the worst, the most dodgiest steering on any vehicle I've ever owned, but it's getting there. This gives you some idea here. The gear travels. This isn't good either. So that needs fixing as well. That's the key out of it, which is probably a bit worn too, but an oversized key in the shaft and the gear would be a good thing. Make a key to fit the shaft so it's a good fit, measure it and make the keyway to match, or make the keyway as standard and put a step on the key so that if we ever replace the shaft we can make that standard too. Don't know. Compared to a Leyland man, I reckon the Model T we had a Model T chassis for a bit. or a buckboard, I guess you'd call it. It was a chassis with a tray on it, sort of, and it wasn't even a particularly good tray. It was average sort of a tray, and you sat on the tray as a buckboard, I guess. The Ruxel T with the 2-speed diff, or the low range diff anyway, and the fancy water pump and stuff on it. It wasn't a bad car, but Model Ts have a very interesting feature in that they've got a planetary system, I think you would call it, in the steering column, in the top, in the steering head, which is the gearbox for the gears. And it's got a internal gear and three little planetary gears, probably two little planetary gears running inside it onto another gear, and that gives you your steering ratio. That's sort of how it works. It's a bit vague, but that's how it works. The issue being is when the white metal in the centre of the steering column wears out completely, that they've got enough slop up and down that the planetary gears mesh on the opposite side of the gear. And they steer backwards. So that's probably about the worst. When you hit a bump, your steering wheel works the other way around. That's an interesting thing to drive. So, not the most difficult thing. And the other thing that was really not much fun was a Leyland Shefton that I drove for a bit on a farm when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, picking up bales, and you basically had to get round sideways and put your foot on the door to pull it round, because the kingpins and everything were so shot with that it really wasn't keen on turning corners. You really needed two people pulling on the wheel to move that around. So there are bad steering vehicles around, and this works. I mean, you can still steer it, but it'd be a lot nicer fixed. So there you go. And this looks like a car skier off something, and it looks like a Fowler car skier, but it may not be off a DNA roller. It may be off something else. It could be crankshaft gear that someone's repurposed. Someone put a new pinion on it and thought the crankshaft gear was suitable for purpose, and that could quite easily be what it is the first gear on the crankshaft on the outside there. It could be exactly the same, and that makes sense because Fowler probably made them the same blank. So now I think about it, when I just thought of that then, that could be what it is someone's put a new gear on the crankshaft and repurposed the one that they had and made a worm for it, or got a worm for it. And that's what you get, because the one on the crankshaft's about 10 teeth, something like that. But it's a straight cut spur gear. So don't know. Anyway, it's ugly. That's what you get. Very ugly. Now, yesterday was Foundry Day. Yesterday was a mess around at the Foundry Day. I don't know if I did very much. We did manage to cast one of these in aluminium that was quite successful, like quite a good casting. Has it got a part number? Not on the gear. Russell, if you're on Instagram, or if you're on Discord, I'll shoot you a message with a picture so you know where it goes, and you could have a look on a DNA roller, or ask someone, they might know. But probably other roller owners don't know because they never had the cover off either. Don't know. Anyway, got one of these cast. I left it at the Foundry because it was only a demo. It's a pretty poor sort of a show. I left the patterns with Dallas too. He's going to have another go at it. He thinks he can cast it without my fancy core box, but I don't believe so. And this is just ugly. This is the original brass one. So hopefully, give it a week, we might get that done, fixed. Dallas is a bit pig-headed and likes to do things his own way, and if you present a better way of doing something, he likes to prove his way's better. And that's all right. It gets things done. Thanks, Russell. I'll have a look at that. Anyway, got that done. Some tokens for Fowler, driver's tokens. They're work in progress still, but they're coming up all right, and I've got a few of them. So that's done. That's another job that we got done. So there you go. They want a bit of paint in the background. They want a hole drilling in them, and they want a good clean up with a file and some. But anyway, we've done them. All right. Another job that we wanted to do is this. We got this made with probably the wrong amount of shrinkage, because I got this piece of aluminium folded up first. Right. And I wanted this to fit the aluminium. And Dallas modified the pattern on all sorts of levels to get this to fit beautifully in here, which it does, which is really nice. Right, so I'm going to get this tigged. Just a couple of tacks on it. Don't need much. And get this plug welded on the back, because I've got a plate made to match the lathe. Match that one. Same script. Bit of messing around for a day putting this script on here. Bit more of a job than expected, because it's not any particular script. I just drew that out in the CAD program, and now I've got it. So he also cast me a brass one, which is really nice, but put that aside. It might go on the box for the thread cutting attachment. So this, I'm going to tag this together, and then I'm going to put probably a nice 5mm or 4mm or something wire edge around here, flush with the inside. Bend it up, weld it on, and then cut this strengthener rib out of the back and cut it off where it needs to be. And we've got ourselves a belt guard, which is really nice. Give it a coat of paint and some filler, and polish up the edges the same as the rest of the lathe. We'll take this over here and have a look. Don't know what happened there. I dropped something. Sorry, guys. We'll turn a light on over here. Whoa, look at that. This hole down here is a bit of a problem. Since I built this lathe up, that hole's been there. And it's okay until you machine in something small, and then you drop the bit down there, or your swarf goes down there, or whatever. You don't get a problem with the belts, but the issue is that it's a hole. So I'm going to shorten this up a bit probably, but probably not much either. That's going to sit there like that with a nice edge on it to match this. So paint it up the same. Nice smooth edge on it to match this one. And a proper Launch logo on it. And that should be really nice, I think. Pretty happy with that. So that's sort of a project that's ongoing. Don't expect miracles with this, but it's probably nearly finished. I just got to get a mate to TIG weld it up when he's got time. And this here will go around there. I've got to cut that piece out of the side of it to go over that piece of plate that no one thought about. A smarter idea would be to pull this frame off and cut that bit of plate down. And probably a much easier job and a better job altogether. However, I'm not feeling like I want to pull this frame off. And it's 4 bolts and 2 belts and some electrical wires and 4 bolts down there, and then lift it all off, and then I'd probably feel like I want to paint stuff and stuff then, so that's not going to happen. But I think we'll just trim it to match, and we'll put 4 or 6 or something, 5 brass wood screws in the table nicely, and paint it all up to look good. So that's another job we're working on. If anyone wanted a launch lathe update, that's one of the things that we're doing. So that's how that's working. Now I hope everyone's ears recovered after the crash. Well, it'd be very useful to have this hole covered in at some point. And it's one of the guards. Probably going to make a wooden box for the gear cutting attachment and all the bits and pieces for it when it's finished. It's not finished yet. Don't know when it'll be finished. It might be 15 years. But we'll hang on to that nice little brass launch plate for the wooden box, I think, something like that. Could probably set it in the end of it probably wouldn't look terrible if we set it in the end of the guard for this on here either. So we'll think about that. But I've got the pattern, and that's a nice casting actually. Very nice little plate. Nice, flat, even, decent casting. And this is the 1960s version of the launch logo, which is that one with a ring around it basically. There you go. This is a little bit, quite a lot earlier actually, this logo. It's a little bit taller. Hasn't got the ring around it. And it's got ovals rather than square sections in the letters. So it's quite a bit rounder. And probably I should have just matched that one, but this is the later one, so I took it off the cover of a book, basically copied it. Also I'd like to put a toolbox under this corner. That's going to happen at some point, with fold out tills, like two fold out tills for lathe chucks and things. So all that stuff that's over there could go in there, and probably it could go on there too, but could probably do something different with the same text and make like a drawer pull or something out of it. We'll see. That's thoughts as time goes on and we get sillier. 1,000 projects, like you know, as you know. So 3mm copper rod arrived for the whistle bell. Bit sleepy, sorry guys, a bit sleepy. That was me dropping that, sorry. 3mm copper rod arrived to set the cores up in here. I left that up at the Foundry, so I was sort of hoping it's still there when I get back. I'll message someone on Friday and ask them. It's the next day. Anyway, so they're all things that are happening. There's a set of bearings for an engine for William. There's a friend who's given me a pretty good hand with the roller lately. So there's a set of main bearings for a little gas engine. I think it's gas. I don't think it's oil engine. I think it's a little down gas engine with a tape on them. They're sort of pretty much ready to cast too. They can go. And I've got another set of patterns here that need paint and stuff for those bearing blocks over there. So that's another job. So 2 of them and 2 of them cast up, like probably cast as one piece. And split and machined. So they're things that are happening. What else? There's drain cock improvements there. There's a nut there. Got a heap of them. I have to count and see how many still need to be made of those, because I think I need about 8 or 10 of those, about 3/4 width or 3/4 thickness. 3/8 Whitworth nuts. So that's another job. I think I've got most of them done to count them up. So that's how it is. Very rough live stream. There seems to be more projects here on the bench and projects to do than there was a fortnight ago, by about 3 times as many. This has been a work in progress for a little while, getting the castings and stuff done. Finally got that sorted. And the plates, this has been happening for a while. They're all sorted. These are new projects. This is a new project. This is coming together. The valves are starting to come together for that. But no major progress since last time. Probably this week I'll get them pretty well finished. I might try and make a video about making them. We'll see how we go. So that's another job. Anyone got questions? No. It's a video from Nigel. Very good video from Nigel this week. And a lot of very fiddly rivet work. Go create hobby machine shop. It's a very good video. Enjoyed that. Who else had a video? There's one from Chirp, I think. Did I see a video from Chirp? I think so. Not sure about that. Who else had a video? There's one from Bill, was there? Might have been the week before. There's one from Bill. Anyone else put a video up? Don't know. Anyway, that's how that is. This is sort of what's happening. This was kicking around in the roller toolbox, and I'll probably go back in, because one day we're going to wonder what that's for, and we're going to have one, because obviously someone's made it for something. Don't know what. It's sort of the right size for that shaft. It's probably a spacer for main crank or something. I don't know. It's been too hot here to do much either. Yesterday it wasn't terrible. I went up the Foundry. We messed around, drank a lot of coffee, did a lot of talking, refereed a few fights, all that sort of stuff. Caught up with some friends. It was a good day. But I was back home for a nap. Monday I did some laundry and a few of these jobs, CAD jobs, things like messing with this, trying to find the right pitch and everything, and found a drawing. I've dropped the drawing, or the file for the drawing, at the print shop to get printed, so that we've got one to take the guy and show him. Bought a new refill for my pen, which I'm not real happy with, my Rotring 600 pen, which is a very nice pen, but broke the end of it, which wasn't a very good thing to do, but I wasn't happy with that. But no harm done except the refill. I went and bought a refill, and that's scratchy and not very nice. I'm going to take that back in the morning. 30 in Launceston again tomorrow. It'll be 30 here too, but it's a bit different heat, to be honest. 30 here is quite pleasant. So, that's all I've really been up to. It pretty well covers a big weekend, like a really big weekend. There was a lot happening. Don't know what was in that. Don't know if there's much else to really cover. I've got painting jobs to do. I've got casting jobs to do. That one in particular to get done. I've got machining jobs to do. I've got the drawings to do, these little knobs. Where did I put them? No idea where I put them. So look, they're probably over here. They are too. With the Joe return box. So just to refresh our memory, Dan, if you're still watching, you haven't gone to sleep or whatever, there's a big one. Got the profile here for him now, so we'll profile machine these, finish the insides of them, and two small ones. That one's starting to clean up. This one needs a bit more off it. It's pretty ugly. This one gave me a bit of brass in these, I think, but this one needs some clean up work as well. And the top profiling, so we'll get the insides machined. And then chuck them up and machine the outsides, and they'll be done. They'll be nice, give them a polish up. So that's the job. The red lead bit with the brass. The pump off the roller, yes, that's a work in progress. So these valves here, are for the, oh crap, that's not good for it. These valves here, no dings in the edges that I can see properly. Maybe there is. We'll take a bit of care with that. These valves, so it's one of these. It needs to be machined up. And one of these, which is basically, there's a plastic print. That's what it's supposed to look like. And the plastic print of that's what it's supposed to look like. They fit together like that, and they go in the chambers here. So that's a pump job. That's a major sort of work. But yeah, bigger than Stuart Turner parts. That's Dan very kindly packed this ready to go. So that all works. Hopefully it doesn't leak or anything. I don't think it will. It's only water pressure. So, how'd you get on with your bolts, Russell? If you're in the UK, you should get bolts pretty easy in those sizes. no problems at all. So that's that. Another red lead bit that was here. Is there another red lead bit here? There was, I think. Yeah, here's some other bits, right? This is the cross pin. Right. Goes through the shaft. And this pin retains on there, and that's why that's worn. Because this pin is wearing as that moves, because the keyway is not tight, and because there's too much leverage on the gear probably too, and it's not a good fit. Excellent, Russell. So that's the pin for that, and it's just got a split pin through there. See, each end, and it goes back in. That's not badly worn in the shaft. I think we'll live with that. We might make a new one because that one's a bit ugly, but we won't drill it out, I don't think. There's a key for it, which is also ugly, just so we know. Here's another issue. See this quality piece of stuff here. This is a spring clip. It's a Fowler invention. It's really quite awful. I have 6 of these that hold the ash pan on the roller. Oh, that's awesome, Russell. This holds the ash pan on the roller. Basically, it slides through a slot that's that dimension, right? And they spring out to stop them falling out. Randy, good day. These are awful. There's several reasons why they're awful. One is that there isn't 6 of them the same. They're all different. 2 is they're an absolute mongrel to get out, right? Because they sit flush against the plate here. And the pin sits flush against the plate on the side as the angle plate. So getting in there to pull them out when everything's hot is a bit of a nuisance. I was thinking to put a pin, a swivel pin in the back of them with a ring, so you can pull them out, something like that. But I would like to put lynch pins or something on them, but there's not enough space for that either, so that's a work in progress too. We're still, that's at the thinking stage still. But ideally, best case, worst case scenario would be to make 6 new ones. And I guess they're spring steel of some sort. Don't know. And take him and see my spring maker mate and see what he says about it. Russell, no, it's not a family heirloom. It's just something that I thought I could live without. And subsequently prove myself wrong. So that's important. If anyone's having the same doubts or the same thought processes about rollers or full-size engines, sit down and we'll have a talk before you do it, just so you know. I wouldn't like you to be disillusioned in any way before you start. But anyway, mostly it's good. A lot of these bits on this bench are for other people's machines. This is for the lathe, but this is for Williams' little gas engine. This is for Field's 1910 Argle. This is for Dan's a couple of centuries ago. Roby stationary engine. It's not all entirely my jobs. The whistle's sort of my job, but it's one of my own self-inflicted things. I guess this is too. This is just one of those fill-in jobs that I've got the patterns now. At some point I'll get them cast and we'll have a couple of decent plumber blocks there in stock. 1879, the Roby. It's a vertical boiler with a horizontal engine on the base. It's a nice engine, but it's missing 3 oilers, and that's what they're for. Anyway, that's kind of where we are, and that's what's happening here tonight. Not a lot, to be honest. There's stuff happening, but it needs to happen at a greater rate. We'll see what the next weekend brings, and we'll have a bit of a go at finalising a few more bits. And get them up and going. So, that's that. I don't know if I've got much else to add. Everyone's been pretty quiet. Anyone who joins in the live stream, that's awesome. Like to listen to read the chat, that's cool. You should absolutely join in. There's 20 people watching apparently. I lasted an hour before I completely run out of steam and things to say. Most of these projects are not getting videos made, to be honest. Probably they should, and I will probably make a video about making these valves and seats, getting them all in. That might be a really good video. Might make a video talking about this and bolting it up when it's finished. Yeah, we should make another whistle video at some point when I've got some more work to do on it. There's more work to do on it, I just haven't got there. There's lots to do. And probably we need an update on the threading attachment for the lathe, etc. Probably could make a ton of videos with the stuff we got there. The trouble is that I've got to find hours out of my week to edit them. So that's how we are. And there's no excuse other than that if I shoot video I've got to edit it, and that's hard work. Sorry about your internet, Peter. Thanks for keeping us company on the way home last night. In the dark, in the middle of the night. I left pretty late because we kept going with shed improvements and tin on doors and stuff and got a lot done. So I didn't leave too much later than I was expecting to. And that was Sunday night. And Peter, quite often Sunday night if I'm coming home, I'm on Discord and we have a live chat. So if anyone wants to join in, you see me on Discord live, join in and say hello. Play catch up. Learn something about all you guys too. That's it anyway. I think I'm done. I'm going to call it, I think, guys. Thanks everyone for tuning in. If it sounds like we've done a bit this weekend, yes, we have. There's a crap load happening, and we did a lot. A huge thanks to everyone. Another couple of weekends will make a big hole in most of this stuff. We'll get all that back up and running. Pump back on. I'll get this done. I'll get these done. I'll get this welded up and back on, or on the machine, and I'll have some sort of direction on this with a quote. And probably some progress. It'd be nice to have half a day's progress on the whistle. Anyway, that's what's happening. Could hear you in and out, cutting in and out, Stuart. That's all. That's all. I knew you were there and I could sort of hear you, but Apparently he couldn't hear me. Anyway, I'm out. Thanks, guys. Be kind to each other. And more updates next week if there's nothing in between. Appreciate you tuning in, and I'm going to go and sit down.